Hello, 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 and welcome to the PGL Lobbycast. You are with us for episode 373. That's right. We are gradually edging toward the 400 mark, and this is your one-stop spot for all things nerdiness. Well, at least a few things nerdy, whatever we feel like talking about that week. So let us kick it off with the news. And unfortunately, this week, as I mentioned in little online blurb, the 2016 continues to act like it's written by George R.R. Martin. You know, the Oatmeal's been joking about that online, and it's just not as amusing as it was anymore. Had a few unfortunate passings this week already so far. Well, I'm sure you know where we're going with the main one already, but we'll start out with some of the ones that I think maybe some people might have missed, unfortunately. First, Michelle McNamara, age 46. She's a crime writer on the internet and was married to Patton Oswalt. His wife passed away a few days ago, unfortunately, very young. No word yet as to what happened. Unfortunately, that's kind of come as a surprise for a lot of people, and especially fans of Patton Oswalt who know what a family man he seems to be. So all best thoughts there. You've got a lot of sympathy from a lot of folks. Hope you know that. We also unfortunately lost Percy Sledge, age of 74, legendary musician, writer. Really gave us a lot of amazing music over the years. No longer with us. And of course, the bit of news that is really caught everybody off guard the last few days, of course, the untimely passing of musician Prince. At the age of, I believe I've got it down here, 57, quite young and very unexpected. Now, the rumors are already swirling all over the internet. We're not going to engage in any of that here. Cause will be released in due time, and frankly, it's not going to lessen the tragedy of the thing at all. So really, this just seems like it's been happening over and over again this year, and it needs to stop. Stop taking our amazing music legends, actors, these people whose art enriches our lives. So many of us feel it doesn't seem fair that these people are being taken from us when, Roman Polanski and our Congress are still running around free. And if I don't get some comments about comparing those two things, I don't know what'll get them. But, it doesn't seem... A lot of people have said it doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't. And it just seems to be happening a lot. And it's only April. So 2016, calm the hell down. Stop it. Stop taking these amazing artists from us, please. And in the meantime, the best thing that we can do is remember them however you want to. So I've heard many suggestions, listen to the music, watch their acting performances, pour one out for them. I think maybe the best tongue-in-cheek, it was a little tongue-in-cheek, but really not a bad suggestion in light of both perhaps Prince and Percy Sledge. Best way to remember him was just go out and have some really, really awesome sex with somebody, because let's face it, when a man loves a woman and various different songs by Prince don't get that done for you, I don't know what will. So remember these people however you want to, and let's not forget how they've enriched our lives over the years. So moving on from that sad note, a few bits of news, not a lot. I don't know if this was discussed previously, but I don't think it was. Train Spotting, the sequel, has been greenlit and starts filming next month. Now, they're not saying for sure yet, I don't think, who all is going to be there, but we know that most of the original cast is, and Ewan McGregor, has confirmed that he's going to be there. I'm very curious to see where they might go with this story a couple decades later, especially with the kinds of characters they were portraying. So here's hoping it's awesome. I'll look forward to seeing what they're going to do there with those crazy cats from Scotland, and here's hoping that this next one is as disturbing as the last one, or not. I know a lot of us lost some sleep over babies on ceilings and whatnot. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going out and seeing it if you don't mind just being wrecked for a few days afterwards. And those of you that have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So let's see where they go with that here in the near future. Let's see, what else do we have? One that I was really excited about is they finally announced the new companion as Spoiler alert, if you're not caught up on Doctor Who, and if you're not by now, you really should be. But as we know, Clara Oswald, no longer the Doctor's companion. She departed at the end of the last season to, I believe, play Mary Queen of Scots elsewhere on the BBC. And good, best of luck to her. But now they have just announced during a FIFA game who the new companion will be, and she is relative newcomer Pearl Mackie. I would love to give you some updates on her, but I really haven't been able to find a whole lot of information about her. But I know while she's quite the newcomer to TV and screen and whatnot, she has done a lot of work on London stage. So she is apparently very excited to be the Doctor's next companion. Her name is going to be Bill. Yes, her name is Bill. And this is also being greeted as some good news in the diversity area, because for a show that champions diversity as much as Doctor Who, there have not been a lot of ethnic people inside the TARDIS. In fact, on this new arc, she will be the grand total of the third person, as I believe the Nerdist pointed out, and you would have to count Mickey from seasons 1 and 2. By and large, if you really want to do this. And there hasn't been another companion of ethnicities since Martha Jones. So I look forward to seeing where they go with this. And I was very excited to hear any new Doctor Who news, since we're going without by and large this year. And congratulations, Ms. Mackie. We look forward to seeing what you and the Doctor get up to in the TARDIS starting this December. Congratulations. Now, I believe that this moves us on to the watches. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been bouncing around to Texas and Los Angeles the last couple of weeks, and as far as watcha plans, I don't have a whole lot to say here. So let's get that out of the way right now. I have been playing anything that I can get to on my phone, and I don't think you guys need to hear a lot about Quiz Up or Panda Pop, so let's just skip right past that. And what you're listening to this week has really been a lot of shuffle all and my iPod in the car and on airplanes. So that brings us directly to what you're watching, and I've got a little bit more to talk about there. So let's just get straight to that. I finally got caught up on Face Off. I know who won. Yay! So it was good to see how they wrapped up this season. I was interested as a longtime fan of Face Off to note that they are not coming back with another season until next year. Normally, when they wrap up a season in early spring, they come back with a new season, usually in July, in the summertime, and they are not doing that this year. I've been looking around. I've not gotten a lot of reasoning behind why that happened. Could be as simple as the judges have other stuff to do. All of the judges on this show are very busy in their own right in the movie industry, so they might have all had projects on their plate. Who knows? But we will have to wait until next spring for more face-off, so sad face there. But congratulations to the winner. If there's anybody out there that hasn't seen it yet, I will make sure I say nothing so that there are no spoilers. Now, it also brings us to getting caught up on Autopsy, the last hours of reality show, autopsy show. Little disparate, but hey, what can I say? I like to keep my interest broad. This is a show, as I believe I've discussed in the past, where forensic pathologists discuss, the causes of death for various different celebrities. And unfortunately, this year has been giving us a lot of material for that. And they do things that aren't recent as well. Things, like John Belushi that we probably have heard of, but maybe, they're able to bring more to the table, give us a few more details. And it might sound a bit macabre, but they really do a good job of humanizing sometimes very flawed people. So I think that the show is very good for that. So if you haven't checked that out, I recommend you watching it. Let's see. Keeping with my British comedy bender, I finished up my binge watch of The IT Crowd, and also been getting into the TV show Bottom with the great Adrian Edmondson and the late great Rick Mayall. That one is not brain surgery, folks. It is really kind of basic physical comedy and sometimes gross out jokes. And what can I say? The 5-year-old inside me delights every time they kick each other in the junk with really exaggerated bonking noises. So if that's the kind of thing that appeals to you, it's called Bottom. I highly recommend you get it. It's, I believe, at least in disc form on Netflix. I don't remember if it is in instant streaming form. I'll have to look that up and anyone's interested, I'll check in on with you later about that. I've also been watching a show called What on Earth. This show is about various different man-made and natural mysteries, but without the ancient alien nonsense that goes along with some other shows like that. This is scientists using their know-how to explain things like whether or not Russia was responsible for the crash of the Malaysian airliner, or what kind of fungus caused the face of Jesus to appear in a wheat field. Things of that nature. In science, it's very interesting, and you really learn a lot watching this show. And they wrap up a lot of these, funny mysteries that happen in the world, because we live in an interesting place. And so if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's a very fun show. And it's, I believe it's in its first season, and they have a lot of really interesting experts on there talking. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Let's see. Another thing that I did watching just last night was a documentary called Listen to Me, Marlin. And this was a documentary by Stephen Riley. I had to check my source there. And it's a relatively simple concept. It is about Marlon Brando, and they got permission from his estate to use audio journals that he kept basically most of his life. He was an intensely private man, did not invite a lot of people into that inner sanctum, and yet apparently he talked constantly and journaled constantly with tapes. And so we have a lot of his voice and a lot of his thoughts, and it's quite personal, to the point where it's almost a bit uncomfortable. I haven't finished watching it yet. I had to walk away from it a little bit, because while for the rest of us he was Marlon Brando, amazing artist, and brought method acting to the fore in a way that hadn't really been done before, and very good looking, and had this strange life, wonderful life, and I do mean wonderful in all senses of the word, because he had a lot of tragedy in his life too. But this is his take on his own life, and it's funny how he, despite what the rest of us saw, he was still very human and had his insecurities, and hearing his own take on these things is quite fascinating if you're interested in him. So it's called Listen to Me, Marlin, and I believe it's on demand on DirecTV. So if you have that, go ahead and grab that. It is definitely worth a watch and a listen. And let's be honest, that brings me to something that was more of a what you're watching in a live sense. I mentioned traveling to Los Angeles. I got the great pleasure of being able, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, I got tickets to see Noel Fielding live. The show was called An Evening with Noel Fielding at the Fonda Theater in Los Angeles. And folks, it did not disappoint. It was a wild evening of stand-up comedy and surrealism, and it takes place on stage and on screen, and there's music, and it was everything that you would expect Noel Fielding and his brother Michael was present also. It was everything you would expect those guys to bring to the fore. It was so much fun, and I really, really wish I could just give you a good idea of how interesting this stage show was, and not just interesting, but funny. Brick was with me, as he may have mentioned last week. I haven't had time to watch last week's show yet. He and I laughed so hard, we hurt by the time we left. It was wonderful. Anytime you see a show that successful, the artists are doing something right. And for those of you that watched The Mighty Boosh or Luxury Comedy or anything of that nature, Asylum, if you're going to go back into some of the more classic British comedy moments, we had the surprise addition of comedian Rich Fulcher was there also. I was so excited when that magnificent bastard swaggered on stage that I about burst, and judging from the fact that Brick excitedly about slapped my arm out of its socket when he walked on stage, I think he was pretty happy to see him too. It was great to see those three guys reunited, and seeing them live made it even better. They are every bit as good live, if not better, as they were on television. Nothing about this show disappointed. So if you're interested, Amazon does sell CD copies of An Evening with Noel Fielding. I have got one because they weren't selling those at the show. It'll differ a little bit from what we saw because Rich Fulcher was apparently not there for the European and Australian legs of the tour of An Evening with Noel Fielding. So he was only there for the American leg, and it was another gentleman from Luxury Comedy that filled in, that was there playing the third characters, playing Antonio Banderas, among other things. Yes, you heard me right. A couple of white British guys were playing Antonio Banderas in a surrealistic stage show. So it's different. Any live show is going to be different when you hear it or see it on DVD or streaming. And this is no different, but you have the very different sensibilities of these two men who approach comedy. Both are very funny, but they approach comedy very differently. And what can I say? I'm thrilled to hear. Oh, and I can't remember his last name. I'll have to look it up. I'm so sorry, Tom. The gentleman from Luxury Comedy is very funny, but I have to say, I was so thrilled with Rich Fulcher being there live. I think we might have gotten a good end of the stick here in the States, seeing him. So if you're interested, that's definitely out there. And there's been a few brief clips if you just want a taste of what you're getting into. There are brief clips on Facebook under Noel Fielding's page and on YouTube. If you want to look up the Teabag Dream, that's actually very literal, not nearly as dirty as it sounds. And the Chicken Man monologue, which should show you, just how surreal things can get with these folks. And it'll give you a little taste of what you have going on there and let you know if you want to pursue things further. You should. I guarantee that you're in for an interesting treat. Well, folks, I'm looking at my list, and it is looking like that is about what I have to talk to you on today. If you have anything you want us to talk about next week, let us know. Like and share, and somebody will definitely see you next week. Maybe it'll be me, maybe it'll be Jeff, maybe it'll be both of us. Maybe Brick will show up. Maybe it'll be somebody that we don't even know yet. So it's always kind of a luck of the draw thing here at the PGL Lobbycast. But in the meantime, have a great week. Go out and celebrate lives. Celebrate it, because as Prince said, life is just a party, and parties weren't meant to last. On that note, folks, I'll sign off. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Good day.